Why, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a Punisher survival challenge. Specifically, the Netflix Punisher survival challenge, because I am not going through 5 decades of comic books to talk about Punisher right now. We're just going to deal with the normal Punisher Netflix series, 3 seasons, not 4 seasons, because fuck that Daredevil Born Again shit. That was so clearly a reboot that they just tried to, at the last minute, rewrite a little bit to kind of force it into not being a reboot and being it doesn't even make sense. How the hell are you gonna call it a sequel to the Netflix series when you got Kingpin as the mayor? He was a fucking mass murderer at the end of Daredevil season 1. How did he become mayor? You so obviously went in after the fact and tried to rewrite this shit and force it into the Netflix continuity. It doesn't fit even after you wrote it that way. It's awful. No, we're just gonna touch on the original Punisher from season 2 of Daredevil and then the season 1 and 2 of the Punisher, and that's it. I'm not going to Born Again. I don't care. You can't make me. If you're new to the channel, the basic gist of this video is simple. We're gonna take the Punisher and we're gonna chuck him at some criminals and see if the criminals can survive. That's it. It's really not that complicated of a video, but I'm wasting up your time. Let's get started. Okay, so first things first, we gotta tell you a little bit about the Punisher. What can the Punisher do? What can our criminals expect when being hunted by the Punisher that they will have to overcome in order to survive this particular challenge? Oh god, okay. I don't have to do this, right? Like, we all know the Punisher, right? He's a dude. He's got guns. He was in the military. His family was killed. He started killing a bunch of criminals. He's the fucking Punisher. Like, this isn't someone I have to talk about, right? We got this, right? All the same stuff that would kill normal human beings would kill him, although he has quite a bit more constitution than a normal person. I would say that he fights a lot longer than a normal person could. When they suffer the same amount of head trauma or blood loss. But for the most part, he gets shot in the heart, he dies. He gets shot in the head, he dies. He bleeds out too much, he will die. He's a normal person. He's got normal shit. He's got guns. You ever seen guns before? He's got those. He can do things with those guns, like fire them. He was in the military. He has very, very impressive military-like skills. He is a master marksman as well as physically capable of fighting people like Daredevil, who are one of the best martial artists in the entire Marvel universe. You get it. He's the Punisher. But you know, there's that whole scene in Punisher where like that dude's about to blow himself up and he's on the other side of that vault door and he blows himself up and the vault door pops off and it flies at Punisher and he grabs Karen and jumps out of the way. That means he can dodge an explosion. So we should like calculate his speed to dodge an explosion. No, editing. Just normal fucking editing that's in every movie ever. He's not dodging an explosion. He's got normal human speeds. Just a normal, everyday dude. This is a simple challenge with normal dudes. No supersonic light speed bullshit. No chucking houses or destroying universes. No black hole creation. Just a dude with guns shooting other dudes with guns. This is gonna be fun. Let's do it. First up on Chop Block, we have Dexter Morgan from the one of several different TV shows titled Dexter something. I don't know what's going on with Dexter, I'll be honest with you. Like 5 years ago, we had one show. It's called Dexter. Now we have 4 different shows. Why? I don't understand. Those aren't shows, guys. Those are seasons. You can't just have a whole new show come out every time a new season comes out. This shit is getting convoluted as fuck. The only one that's even slightly justified is Original Sin, because at least that's like a prequel with a new actor and shit, so I kind of get that one. But New Blood and Resurrection, those should just be Dexter season 9 and 10. When the next season of Dexter comes out, whatever it is, it better be a fucking season 2 of something. Getting sick of all these fucking new shows. It doesn't make any sense. Also, every time I use a character in one of these videos where there is also a book version of said character, I'll make the video clearly talking about the show or the movie or the game or the comic or whatever the fuck I'm talking about. And then someone somewhere in the comments is gonna be like, well, you know, in the book. I'm just gonna let you know right now, I don't care. It is literally not possible for me to care less. If I cared any less, I wouldn't even be able to be considered a living being. I would be an object, like a lamp or a woman. So come out in your own time. We're talking about the shows here. Now, when I announced this video was coming out in a community post, I got a lot of comments saying that it doesn't make sense to put Dexter in this video because Dexter and the Punisher would actually get along and they wouldn't like come to blows at any point because they have the exact same philosophy and they both believe in all the same shit. I don't know how people could possibly come to that conclusion. I feel like that is a very simplistic idea of these two guys' philosophies. It's like they looked at two characters and were like, okay, well, they both kill criminals, ergo they would be friends. But No, their entire personal philosophies contradict with one another. They would fucking hate each other. What are you guys talking about? And this is mainly because the Code of Harry does not exist for the sole purpose of taking out criminals and stopping evil in the world. It exists for the sole purpose of making sure that Dexter himself doesn't get caught. That's his number one rule. That's the thing he cares about more than anything else. And he's been shown doing incredibly evil shit that the Punisher would be considered worth killing someone over in order to stop himself from being caught. To give an early example of that, I would say kidnapping Dokes, who is an innocent innocent in this show. We'll get to that. But he is a more or less innocent for the show Dexter police officer that he locks in a cage and tries to frame for all his own murders so that he can get away with it. How could you possibly look at that and be like, yeah, the Punisher's gonna totally agree with that kind of an action? Dexter's code is also significantly more strict than the Punisher's code. The Punisher doesn't really have a code. His code is his moral code. He goes after and kills criminals based on whether or not he at that moment believes that they deserve to die based on the crimes that they have committed. That's it. There's no hard and fast rule for him. For Dexter, there are extremely hard and fast rules, and those rules are so unbelievably strict and not in any way based in morality. Dexter's code requires him to go after and kill only people who have committed murder and only people who are confirmed to be likely to commit those murders again. So technically, if he's following the Code of Harry and Dexter goes out and finds a dude who was a child murderer but doesn't seem like they're going to murder another child, Dexter can't touch him if he follows the Code of Harry. He can't kill people like child molesters or woman beaters or drug dealers or anything like that. He can only kill murderers. When you go over to Punisher, this isn't the case at all. He once kills an entire dog fighting ring. Like, not the dogs, obviously, like the people who are fighting dogs in an underground illegal dog fighting ring. He goes and kills them all and frees the dogs. Now, these were all gangsters, so it's likely they did have other crimes outside of dog fighting, but the only evidence we had was of dog fighting. We've seen Punisher kill child molesters and drug dealers, and at one point he beat a dude to death with a baseball bat because he tried to sell him kitty porn. We don't even know if he was doing anything with the kitty porn, if he was filming the children, or if he was kidnapping children, or doing anything like that. He was just selling the porn, and that was enough for Punisher to beat him to death with a baseball bat. If Dexter follows his code to a T, which admittedly oftentimes he doesn't, he wouldn't be able to kill any of these people. There are multiple instances we see within the show where Dexter's kills are specifically shown to not be based on any real moral code. A good example is at one point in the series, there's this guy who ends up murdering people because he's inspired by Dexter himself. He's like a vigilante serial killer who specifically goes after people who he sees as doing wrong. And initially, Dexter goes after this guy not to kill him, but to basically stop him from idolizing himself. Because up to that point, Dexter doesn't have any evidence that this dude has actually committed murders. He's just attempted it once or twice. But once Dexter actually finds this guy, the guy reveals that yes, he has murdered at least 3 or 4 people for doing things that he considered evil. One of the examples he gives is a guy who was beating his wife. When Dexter hears this, Dexter then decides to kill this man because now killing him would follow the Code of Henry since he is a murderer and someone who will continue to murder in the future. If Punisher was swapped out with Dexter in this particular case, he wouldn't care that some dude is going out and murdering wife beaters and child molesters. But Dexter doesn't care about the moral implications of what the person is doing, just the fact that he's a murderer that's going to keep murdering. Dexter essentially uses the Code of Harry as an excuse to kill people, even though he doesn't really care about the moral implications of any of it. He just likes killing people, and he uses the code so that he doesn't get caught, and also so that he doesn't turn into basically who his brother was, who is just a guy who goes out and murders anybody without any kind of code. If you were to take the Punisher and throw him in the Dexter universe, there is no reason why Dexter wouldn't go after and try to kill the Punisher, because the Punisher follows his code and all the moral implication just isn't really something he cares that much about. On the flip side, Punisher would have a serious issue with Dexter because Dexter has done some seriously morally fucked up shit. The Dokes example being more than enough, but there's several more than that. Absolutely not. These guys would not be friends. They would 100% try to kill each other. So we're going to continue this video under the assumption that the Punisher and Dexter are not going to get along and are going to want to kill each other. The only question then is who is going to find and kill the other one first. And this is the part where I have to kind of shit on Dexter a little bit. Not as a character necessarily, but as a show. Because the poor writing of the show actually does negatively affect Dexter as a character here when it comes to surviving against Punisher. And the reason for that is Dexter is neither neither good at getting away with his murders, nor is he good at finding people to murder. The only reason why Dexter hasn't gotten caught a long fucking time ago in this universe is because there isn't a single police officer in the whole of the Dexterverse that isn't completely fucking incompetent or are capable of completing even the most basic of tasks. There are countless examples throughout this entire series of police officers just being straight up fucking retarded. And if you don't believe me, that's okay, because I'm gonna give you some examples right now. This shit starts as early as episode 2 of season 1. In that episode, Dexter is tracking a killer who kills people with his car. The man has been able to get away with this several times in several different cities by killing the people, convincing the jury that his car was stolen and used by someone else to commit the crime, and then moving to another city after he gets off on it. Not sexually, I mean like gets off from the crime. Like innocent. He's shown not guilty. Dexter is the only one capable of figuring out that this is something that he keeps doing from city to city, and he does it because he follows him to a bar, gets his fingerprints, and then uses his fingerprints to find out that he's actually done this many other times in other cities and has gotten away with it every single time. In the episode, Dexter comes to the conclusion that the reason why they weren't able to catch him is because Florida caught him thinking that he was a Florida criminal and only looked up crimes in the past that he may have committed in Florida. They didn't look at crimes that he may have committed outside of Florida or before he came to Florida. This is the dumbest fucking shit I have ever seen in any kind of procedural cop type show. And do not get it twisted, Dexter is a procedural show. Do they seriously expect me to believe that this dude went from city to city murdering people with cars, getting caught, put on trial, and proven innocent, and none of the law enforcement in any of these cities across the country ever once thought to take his fingerprints and see if he committed any crimes outside of the city that he was currently in? We know from the episode that this dude has only been in Florida for a couple of years, and he was put on trial in the episode for manslaughter. They thought that he was driving drunk. In real life, if he were to get arrested, they would fingerprint him immediately. The National FBI Fingerprint Database has existed since 1999. This show came out in 2006. Why is Dexter the first person to check his fingerprints and find out that he's done this multiple times in several other cities? What the fuck happened? This is basic police shit. It's not even like he's done it in other cities and he was just not captured for it. The moment Dexter put his fingerprints in the system, he got several news articles, actual pictures of him being arrested, and all the information he needed to know that this dude was doing it multiple times on purpose and was arrested for it multiple times. This shit is so poorly fucking written. Later on in the same season, the police are looking for a serial killer and they find an ice truck that was left by the killer, and in the back there's a giant block of ice with severed fingers frozen inside of it. The police show up there, they take the block of ice out of the truck and start searching the truck for clues that the serial killer may have left for them to find. Dexter is the one that figures out that the frozen fingers in the block of ice is the clue and that there won't be any other clues in the truck. This is a moment in the season that's trying to show like how smart Dexter is and how he understands how killers think in a way that the other cops don't. But it's not a very good example of that, because to me all this shows that the cops are fucking retarded. How do you find a block of ice with severed fingers in it and assume that's not the clue that the killer left for you? No, it must be somewhere else in the truck. That little detail just isn't all that important. There are examples like this throughout the entire show. I would say every 2 or 3 episodes, there's something that happens where you're just like, are these police fucking stupid? How did they not figure this out? I am constantly watching this show and figuring shit out about the crimes that are being committed before any of the characters in the actual show figure it out, including Dexter, because it's so unbelievably obvious and these characters are written to be very, very dumb. Just to give you another example, at one point the police are going after this serial killer who bleeds all of his victims dry, like he gets all the blood out of their body and then hacks them up into little pieces and then just kind of delivers them into different locations. Well, they get a call that they know is tied tied to this serial killer at a hotel, and when they arrive at the hotel, the entire room is just soaked in fucking blood. There is gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of blood in here, and they guess for there to be that much blood in there, it has to at least have come from around 8 to 10 different people. Now, when I was watching the show and I came to this room, I, with my amazing beyond human intellect, was able to come to the conclusion instantly that this blood must be from all the bodies that were drained dry. Obviously. Like, what's the alternative? That he murdered 10 fucking people in this room, hacked them all up, bled them dry in there, and then removed the body parts from the fucking room? Only an idiot would think that. Right? Right? Nope. That's exactly what the police think happened in the episode. It takes half the fucking episode for them to come to the conclusion that the blood was dumped there and there wasn't any bodies to find and nobody was killed in the room. And the only reason they figured out the blood was dumped there and it was from the previous bodies is when they got the blood samples, tested it, and then realized it. And in the episode, it's shown as like some kind of big reveal of something they figured out. Because the whole episode, they're trying to search for new fucking bodies. It's obvious where the blood came from. Am I crazy? Like, what the fuck? Every single police officer in this entire show is either a criminal or completely fucking retarded. There is no exception. I guess Lundy's kind of an exception, but he's not a cop. He's an FBI agent. So it would still technically be correct that the cops are fucking stupid. Angel Batista is a criminal who tried to hire a prostitute and just barely got off because the cop felt sorry for him. Dokes is a murderer and did an illegal search and seizure at Dexter's home. Not okay. Debbie Morgan slept with her own CI. Very illegal. Not okay. LaGuardia is completely fucking incompetent. The chick that replaces LaGuardia in season 2, completely fucking incompetent. It really doesn't matter what officer you look at. They all fucking suck. Every single one of them. I was screaming at my fucking television during season 2 when Dokes was trying to capture Dexter. He went into his house and searched his house because he thought that he might be... something was wrong. He didn't know he was a serial killer necessarily, but he knew that something was wrong with Dexter. So he searches the dude's house illegally and finds his trophies. Basically, after every murder that Dexter commits, he takes a drop of their blood and he puts it in this little slide, and he has a box filled with slides of all of his victims. It's very dumb that he has this, and it comes up multiple times that if anyone gets this box, he's basically fucking done because it's an instant connection to every victim he's ever had. I kind of let that slide because that's like a serial killer thing. They oftentimes like trophies and shit. I get that part. What I don't get is that when Dokes finds this box, instead of putting the box back where he got it, and now knowing that he has the evidence he needs to get a conviction for Dexter, he takes the box out of Dexter's home and tries to fly it to fucking Haiti so he can get it tested, which would automatically make that piece of evidence completely fucking useless in a court of law because he obtained it illegally and he removed it from its initial location. Now, even if Dokes could prove that Dexter was the criminal and he got Dexter arrested, that box would not be able to be used as evidence, and the main thing they have to prove Dexter did it wouldn't be viable. He would get off. He would fucking get away with it because you removed it from Dexter's home. This then leads to Dokes' car getting searched, where the police find the box and then assume Dokes is the killer instead of Dexter. Dokes then spends the rest of the season on the run, when again, it would be super easy to prove that Dexter did this. All he had to do from that point is to call the police and tell them to scrub the box for prints. They would have found hundreds upon hundreds of prints of Dexter's on the box dating back years. Dokes would only have a couple of fingerprints on it from the past day, but they never scrubbed the box for prints. This wouldn't necessarily prove Dokes innocent, but it would have at least made them also look at Dexter as a possible killer. Why did they not scrub the box for prints? We've seen Dexter fuck with this box all season, and at no point does he wear gloves to handle it. The plan that Dokes actually comes up with to clear his name is fucking retarded, because again, all the cops in this show are retarded. He follows him after he kills someone and tries to dump the body, and then tries to arrest him by force and bring him in. But at this point, Dokes is on the run for murder. He's not a police officer, he's a murder suspect. Even if he were to arrest Dexter at this point and take him back to the police station, he has no evidence that Dexter was there to dump the body. He would have to have some kind of film or pictures or something of Dexter actually dumping the body. Otherwise, it's just his word against Dexter, and everyone thinks he's the killer right now. Why does he try to arrest Dexter here? He shouldn't have said shit and just hid and filmed Dexter dumping the body, then sent the footage to the police department to clear his name. It's so fucking stupid. I'm only giving examples of the first 2 seasons, but this is throughout the entire show. All of the seasons have this problem. These police officers are fucking dumb. There are so many times when Dexter should have 100% been caught, and he's just not, because he is in a universe filled with retards. In terms of Dexter being able to catch other people, the only reason why he does is because he works for the police station, and he just sort of piggybacks off of all of their work to find killers, oftentimes derailing their investigation specifically so he can find the killers. It shows pretty clearly throughout the series, all of the series, because, you know, there's fucking 4 of them now, for some reason, that Dexter would not be able to find victims to kill if it wasn't for him doing this, for him going through the police department. Even in the newest one, Dexter Resurrection, where he is, I mean, supposedly you would think at his most intelligent and most experienced in the art of killing and finding people, he still piggybacks off of someone else's work. Basically, the point I'm getting to is Dexter wouldn't be able to find the Punisher unless the police are capable of finding the Punisher. And as we know in the Punisher series, the police aren't capable of finding the Punisher. By comparison, when you look over to the Punisher, who kinda not fair because he actually has Micro helping him out, but I mean, still, he does have Micro. That is a good point. That's not something I could really ignore. He is capable of tracking down high-ranking military officials that are hiding out in government-protected safe houses. His ability to find and kill people are just considerably better than Dexter's is. I mean, shit, I don't think we even have an example of Dexter having to locate someone who's actually in hiding. They're all hiding in plain sight. It's just they can't prove the dude's a murderer, and then Dexter proves he's a murderer and kills him, but they're usually just chilling at their house. The problem Dexter would have here isn't proving that the Punisher kills people. Everyone knows who the Punisher is. He's fucking Frank Castle. The whole world knows Frank Castle's the Punisher. The problem here would be actually locating him, and Dexter doesn't have any skills that would help him locate him. Even if he somehow could locate him, that doesn't mean he would necessarily be able to kill him, because while Dexter does have stealth abilities and is capable of killing people without them realizing he's there, he's never gone after anyone like Frank. He usually goes after people in their homes who are untrained and unprepared for him. Frank is always in some kind of weird abandoned building or bunker that is filled with booby traps and tripwires and cameras. He's always prepared that at any point someone can break into his home and try to kill him. He's prepared for SWAT and police and the military to come in. Dexter's never had to do that. Frank's done it several times. We've seen him break into military bases and safe houses and places that are guarded by military operatives. So not only would he have an easier time finding Dexter, he would have an easier time sneaking up on and killing Dexter. So yeah, Dexter can't win here. And it's almost entirely because his show just isn't written as smart as Punisher's is. Dexter can only be as smart or as skilled as the antagonists of his series are, and they just straight up aren't. Punisher wins. And Punisher wins pretty easily. Next up on the list, we got Barry Berkman from the show Barry. Yeah, a lot of these shows are just named after the main characters, so you're gonna see that a lot on this list. If you've never seen Barry, it's a really good show about a hitman who just kind of like not cool with being a hitman. He doesn't feel fulfilled doing it. And one day he goes out to do a hit on a guy who's an actor and accidentally gets dragged into his acting class. And then once he's there, he feels this sort of fulfillment that he never felt before. So the whole show is about him trying to leave his hitman life and become an actor, which is weird and not cool because a hitman needs to not be seen and known by people, and an actor does literally the exact opposite. So it doesn't quite work out that way, and he finds it to be a much harder process than he originally thought it would be to leave the hitman life for this new sort of acting gig, which, by the way, he's not really good at. He's actually a fucking horrible actor. Very good show. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's got a really good mix of humor, as it's an extremely funny show, while also having like super dark moments of like tragedy and almost horror. Like, it's really good at mixing those two tones. So definitely look it up if it's something you think you might be interested in. Now, if you have seen this show, I don't have to like give an argument as to whether or not Punisher would actually want to kill Barry, right? We're all in agreement Punisher's gonna 100% want to kill Barry. The reason why I'm asking is because I remember when season 1 and 2 were coming up, I had it in my head that Barry was just like this evil piece of shit shit who is selfish and would do anything or hurt anyone to save his own skin. And I constantly have people argue with me that he's actually kind of a good dude. But I don't know if people are still making that argument now that the show is over and he's done even worse shit than he did at that point in the show. I just oftentimes find myself surprised by the Olympic level gymnastics that viewers will sometimes put themselves through to justify the actions of fictional characters. Throughout the course of this show, Barry kills so many innocent people, oftentimes people who are close personal friends of his, all for the purpose of saving his own skin so he doesn't get caught for the many, many murders he's committed. He has sometimes murdered people who did not deserve it just because he got mad and went off and killed them, and it's been very clearly shown that he can't control his actions when he gets angry. Like, this is a really, really bad dude, and it just baffled me how many people were defending his actions throughout the first few seasons of the show. Now, originally when I started filming this video, I figured that Dexter should be first, and Barry would be the harder kill because Barry is a significantly more skilled fighter than Dexter is. It's not even really close. Barry is shown throughout this series to be a trained military operative. He's fast as fuck, and there's really no one else in the entire series who's even capable of challenging him when it comes to his ability to kill people. However, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that Dexter should probably go after Barry, and the main reason why is because I think it'll be a lot easier for Punisher to actually find Barry and kill him than it would be for Dexter. Dexter has the benefit of basically no one knowing who he is or what he's doing. Generally speaking, in both fiction and real life, it is significantly harder to find serial killers than it is to find hitmen who work for the mafia, because serial killers are kind of on their own, and this is the same way with Dexter. He's just sort of out there killing people. He's the only person for the most part who knows who he is or what he does, and he's relatively good, kind of, sort of, in his own universe at hiding that from police officers. I mean, the dude's like 50 years old. He's been doing serial killing since he was like 20. There is a reason why he survived for this long. It's a lot of plot convenience and bullshit, but there is still a reason. No one actually knowing that he kills people is a big part of that. Barry, however, is a different situation. He's a hitman who does hits for several different mafia groups, and there are many people within those mafia groups who know who he is. And Punisher is most oftentimes seen going after mafia groups. I don't know about you guys, but to me it seems pretty obvious that if Punisher is going after all these different mob groups and torturing people for information, murdering a bunch of people, it's only a matter of time before either one, someone hires Barry to actually go after the Punisher, which will fail miserably, and I'll get into that in a second, or one of the many gangsters that Punisher tortures, brutalizes, and butchers is going to just give up Barry's name because they don't have that much loyalty to him. You really think that NoHo Hank wouldn't immediately give up Barry if he was being tortured to death by the Punisher of all people? I mean, shit, Hank willingly gave up the love of his life to die to his own mafia because his life was threatened. You think he's not gonna give up Barry immediately? Come on now. So whether or not Punisher's gonna want to go after Barry, there's no question, and whether or not he's gonna find Barry is no question. The only question there is whether or not Barry could actually defend himself and kill Punisher before Punisher kills him, and the answer to that question is a resounding no. While it's true that in the Barry universe, Barry is basically unmatched in literally any form of violence, he exists within a universe where all of the other people suck at what they do. And this isn't a Dexter situation where all the cops suck because of just bad writing and shit doesn't make sense. No, Barry is actually written as a comedy, and it's a part of the joke that everyone fucking sucks. The main crime organization that Barry interacts with is the Chechnyan Mafia, and they make it very clear that most of these guys can't even fire rifles properly. They don't know how the rifles work. There are several instances of characters struggling to reload guns and not being able to hit someone who's very close, like right in front of them with long-range rifles. This is a constant thing, and it's always played for laughs every time it happens.
How the fuck did you miss?
I don't know how to shoot gun.
Hey, you know this about yourself. Yet when I ask you to come to a battle, you say okay.
Hank, there is a power dynamic here which prevents the... Ah! Get down! Ah!
Barry's so good in this universe because he's the only one who knows how to do anything. There's literally 2 episodes in the entire show where Barry might actually face someone who can do anything to him. One is where he goes on a job to kill this guy who is a martial arts champion, and it is a very close fight, and Barry struggles significantly. He does eventually kill the guy, but then the dude's daughter, who's like a 13-year-old girl, comes in and whoops Barry's ass, which is something I really don't see happening to Punisher. The only other time is when the Chechens bring in the #1 assassin in all of Chechnya, and he's built up the entire episode to be this god-level being who is able to kill a fucking bird flying through the air by flicking a pencil at him or some shit. I don't remember. It was something like that. It was some stupid crazy shit. He's built up for the majority of the episode as being someone who's going to be a massive threat to Barry. And when he finally shows up, you realize he's this hopeless, just like of a person he just has no humanity, and he's like, oh, I've wasted my entire life being an assassin. And then he gets like 2 minutes of screen time and kills himself. He never even meets Barry. They never get into any sort of fight. So throughout the entire 4 seasons of the show, Barry's only ever really challenged 1 time by a single person. In every other fight that he gets into, he fights larger groups, and he kills them between medium and easy-ish difficulty. It's not really that big of a deal. He's never had to face anyone like Punisher, and it's a good reason why he hasn't, because he's gonna fucking die. Punisher can do literally every single thing that Barry can do, just considerably better. Barry is very fast at shooting guns. Punisher is faster at shooting guns. Barry knows hand-to-hand fighting skills. Punisher is way better at hand-to-hand fighting skills. He's fought against fucking Daredevil. Barry really doesn't stand much of a chance here. So I would actually move this around. I think Barry should go first, because it's going to take Punisher a little bit longer to find out where Dexter is, or if Dexter even exists, than it would Barry. He's gonna find out about Barry very, very quickly, and once he does, Barry is essentially going to be dead within a day or 2. It's not gonna take long at all for Punisher to track this dude down and kill him. He's right out in the open. Next up on the list, we have Ben Edwards from Terminal List. Both shows. There's 2 shows, Terminal List, Dark Wolf. He's in both of them. And I'm not gonna lie, this one pisses me the fuck off. I made a poll that listed 10 different shows and was basically asking people which of these shows have you seen, and then you can vote on which ones you've seen and which ones you haven't seen, all that kind of stuff, right? This poll got like 800, almost 900 votes. And out of those 900 votes, only 2 of them had said that they had seen Terminal List. I thought this was a popular show. When Terminal List came out, it was on the top 10 most viewed shows for several weeks. When Dark Wolf came out, same situation. It was one of the most watched shows on Amazon Prime. So where are all these fucking viewers at? These are good shows. I mean, shit, season 1 of Terminal List is basically just The Punisher. You guys come out of the fucking woodwork to watch The Punisher, but y'all won't watch Terminal List? The same thing. Basic summary of Terminal List, which I won't spoil too much because apparently only 2 fucking people have seen the show, but essentially it stars Chris Pratt playing a character known as James Reed. He's in the military. He's a Navy SEAL guy. He gets betrayed by the higher ups. This leads to the death of a bunch of different people on his squad, and then he goes out revenge to get all the people who wronged him. That is a very, very simple summary of the show. Like leaving out every detail that would make the show more interesting. That's like the basic gist of the show. In that first season, he has a best friend known as Ben Edwards, who used to be a SEAL but was kicked out of the SEALs and eventually went on to work for the CIA, who helps him get his revenge. That character was so popular they came out with Terminal List Dark Wolf, which tells us Ben's origin story about how he got kicked out of the SEALs and eventually go on to join the CIA in the first place. The whole concept of the show is that the story was written and all of the action sequences were done by real life Navy SEALs, and it was made for the sole purpose to be as authentic as humanly possible and for everything to be as realistic as humanly possible. And they succeeded. There have been a ton of YouTube videos that have come out with real Navy SEALs talking about just how realistic all this shit is, and it's really cool. It's got a lot of little cool details that you wouldn't even really notice if you weren't a Navy SEAL or in the military in some way, and it's appreciative. I like it. It's a good show. Both of them. Now, I think you can argue that this pick is actually a cheat because Ben Edwards technically isn't a criminal. He works for the government, and he's never really done anything that was considered a crime enough to be arrested because everything he does is for the government, sort of. But really, when you look at the actions he takes, they're not fucking legal. The things he does are not above board. He usually works for corrupt government officials to do the things he needs to do, and while technically he's never been arrested or sent to prison or anything, I think you can easily count him as being a criminal. Like, some of the shit he's done in this show is just outright fucking evil. And there is no doubt in my mind that Punisher would want this fucking dude dead if he ever found out exactly what the shit that he's done. Because it's some seriously dark shit. So the question is, would Punisher actually be able to take out Ben Edwards? And I would say out of all the characters on this list, this one's probably the closest one. They're both military operatives that have very similar training. With some exceptions, Ben Edwards has basically all the same skills that Frank Castle has. There's a couple of things that Ben's got better than Frank, and a couple things Frank is better than Ben, but neither is going to just completely overthrow the other. If you look over at Ben and his history with the CIA and his ability to gather information, the only real skills that Frank has over Ben is, one, his hand-to-hand fighting ability, because while we do see Ben fight hand-to-hand against trained soldiers, he very clearly struggles like a normal man would struggle against another trained soldier. Like, he's not wiping out whole rooms of dudes with melee attacks. But we've seen Frank be able to fight against literal fucking Daredevil, which I would say is considerably more advanced than just fighting against some trained soldiers. Frank also has considerably higher stamina than Ben, as well as just the ability to take damage. There are things that Frank has gone through that humans just straight up should not be able to survive. The dude has been tortured for hours on end. He's had pieces of his flesh cut off. He's been stabbed. He's been shot. He's had bombs go off right next to him. And he bleeds and he gets fucked up and it hurts him for sure. But his tolerance of that pain and ability to keep fighting through that pain and not have it really affect him negatively in combat is nothing less than inhuman. Ben, by comparison, we've seen be seriously harmed by being shot once or twice in a bulletproof vest, and that actually make him so sore that he struggles to walk. They're two very different levels of pain tolerance, mostly due to the fact that Punisher is a comic book show and Terminal List is supposed to be a realistic show that's actually showing what a real human body is capable of. However, it's not like Ben doesn't have anything over Punisher. Ben's information gathering ability and tech ability is similar to that of someone like Micro. He's just really good at tracking people down that he's trying to find and just general information gathering, which is something that Frank needs Micro in order to do. Like, if Frank and Ben did try to kill each other and Ben figured out where Micro was and killed him, Frank would be at a serious disadvantage against Ben, because now Ben would find it very easy to find Frank no matter where he goes, seeing as we've seen him find people that are just as difficult to find as Frank is. But Frank really wouldn't have a reliable way of finding Ben. Overall, I think a fight between these two characters could go either way, with the slight edge going towards the Punisher rather than going towards Ben, solely due to the fact that Ben is written to be a little more realistic than Punisher is. But that's really it. Punisher would not have an easy time taking out Ben whatsoever. I mean, at two different points in the series, Ben is ambushed by a shit ton of Iranian soldiers. One time we actually get a number, it's like 24 soldiers, and he's capable of taking them all out even when he's not expecting to be attacked, and he doesn't have the home field advantage. He kills all of them and makes his way out of the hotel and escapes. In another scene, he's actually expecting them to show up. There are way more than 24, although we don't really get a number, maybe somewhere between 40 and 60. And with him setting up booby traps and explosives and actually getting ready for them to come, he takes out most of them. He does eventually lose and need to get bailed out by other people, but I mean, you're talking about a dude wiping out a small army by himself. That's arguably more impressive than anything that we've seen the Punisher do. So this is 100% not going to be easy for the Punisher, but I do think at the end of the day he will probably win, because he does have slight advantages when it comes to his physicals and his ability to survive. I would go in more detail about Terminal List and Ben Edwards and his character and all this different kind of stuff, but they're all pretty massive spoilers, because you're not supposed to know a lot of stuff about his character, and again, only 2 people have seen the show, so I guess I'm not doing that. Go watch the show! Last but certainly not least, we have Christopher Smith from Peacemaker. Now, this one is interesting, but not in the way that you might. It's not interesting because we're gonna see who's gonna win between Punisher and Peacemaker. The answer's fucking Peacemaker. The man is capable of shooting bullets out of the sky. That alone is enough for him to deal with Punisher. Punisher can't do anything like that. But on top of that, he's physically strong enough to throw a full 200-pound man like 30 feet across the room, as well as being stated to be the world's greatest marksman in a universe where Deadshot exists. So, yeah, I don't think that there's any fucking question here. Punisher's good, but he's nowhere near Peacemaker. So the question here that's interesting is whether or not Punisher's moral code would have him go after Peacemaker in the first place. Because according to my comment section, he wouldn't. A lot of you guys don't believe that him and Peacemaker would be at odds with one another. I think the question's a little more interesting than that. I think while not for sure he's gonna go after the Punisher, there's a very clear argument to be made that he would. And this is based on Punisher's ability to forgive the sins of a criminal's past and allow them to improve and become better people in the future. I personally am leaning towards no, but there is some evidence here to seem that he is. Well, because, okay, so the whole idea here is that Peacemaker is trying to be a better person than he has been in the past. The problem is, in the past, it has specifically been stated on multiple occasions that he has killed innocent women and children. The question here is if Punisher can get over that and allow Chris to become a better person to move on, or will he hold him responsible for the past actions that he has made? Many of the characters in the Peacemaker series have been able to forgive that. Can the Punisher? And in my mind, there's 3 bits of evidence that we see that hint at whether or not he would be able to do this. The first one is in Daredevil, where he has an argument on the rooftop between Punisher and Daredevil, where Daredevil argues that killing criminals isn't cool because people can always become better people, change, evolve, and become more than what they are. A person is not made by their sin, which Punisher immediately disregards and says, no, I don't think there's any goodness in the people that I kill. You can't change. Pretty obvious evidence to me that he would absolutely kill Peacemaker if he came across him. In Punisher's mind, Peacemaker can't become a better person, and it would be just safer to wipe him out rather than to give him the opportunity to kill more women and children, which he's done in the past. But that's just words. How have we seen Punisher actually behave when it comes to his actions? And here it gets a little more complicated. Throughout the Punisher series, well, for one, in the Punisher series, they completely write him different than he was in the Daredevil series. He's a lot more psychotic and a lot more obviously dark in the Daredevil series than he was in the Punisher series. They filed his teeth down and made him far more appealing to a general audience in much the same way they did to Peacemaker when the Peacemaker show came out. Peacemaker is very clearly far less evil in the show than he was in the Suicide Squad movie. They kind of did the same thing to both characters. But in the Punisher show, we actually see 2 instances where characters try to become better people and how Punisher reacts to those people trying to become better people. And those 2 examples are John Pilgrim and Billy Russo. When it comes to John Pilgrim, he was doing all sorts of different crimes, murdering a bunch of innocent people, doing all kinds of fucked up shit that put him on Punisher's radar and made Punisher want to kill him. Punisher eventually spares John Pilgrim and lets him leave when he realized that John is trying to become a better person. But this isn't exactly evidence towards Punisher not going after Peacemaker, because the only reason John Pilgrim was doing all that fucked up shit in the first place is because his children were abducted and he was being coerced to do it on threat of their lives, which is a particularly soft spot for Punisher due to the death of his family. So I don't know if that's necessarily forgiveness as much as it's just like he understands the reasoning, and Punisher probably came to the conclusion that he would have done something similar if his family was in danger. So I don't know if that's outright forgiveness. When it comes to someone like Billy Russo, we very clearly see he is not capable of forgiving, because Billy Russo, after season 1, loses all of his memories and he's like a younger version of himself mentally, and he doesn't remember a lot of the fucked up shit he did to Frank and to all of those innocent people that he fucked up in season 1. When he sees Frank as a friend still. He doesn't realize that he screwed him over so badly, and Frank tries to kill him. When Frank tries to kill Billy, Billy is scared and confused. He has no idea what's going on, and he tries to spend a decent portion of season 2 trying to become a better person, but Frank just straight up doesn't let him. Now, you could say that Frank acted more brutally towards someone like Billy than he would against Christopher, because Billy's actions led to the death of Frank's family, so it was far more personal for him there, whereas Chris's actions didn't specifically go after Frank. So the question's kind of hard to answer, I'm not gonna lie. Would Punisher be able to forgive Chris? I personally don't think so. I think once he hears that he's killed women and children, all fucking bets are off the table and he's gonna kill him regardless of how good of a person Chris thinks he's becoming. But it is an interesting question to ask, because there are instances throughout the Punisher series that show that he may or may not, depending on whatever the given situation is. But the fact of the matter is that while it is true that Chris is a better person now and is continuously becoming a better person as the series go on, he did willingly and knowingly murder people, innocent people, that he did not have to murder, because he had this warped idea of what peace was or the actions he had to take to get peace. So do I think that Frank is going to go after Peacemaker? I do. I don't think there's enough evidence to say that he wouldn't, just based on the fact that he spared John Pilgrim, because it's literally the only person that he's shown sparing. Well, him and that pedophile guy, because the teenage girl asked him not to brutally murder the pedophile, which I personally think was very out of character for Frank to not murder that pedophile, but whatever, it's fine. He did do it. But I don't know. It's up in the air. But it doesn't matter. Whether he does it or doesn't do it, Peacemaker's gonna live. Because if he does do it, Peacemaker's gonna fucking kill him, because Peacemaker is way better than Frank in basically every category. And if he doesn't do it, then they both live, and good to go. Either way, the answer to the question of would he survive the Punisher is yes, Peacemaker will survive. Whether or not you think Punisher would actually go after Peacemaker in the first place, I don't know. Comment below with your ideas of what you think might happen. I think he probably will, but if you think that there is something that I missed missed that might point towards him not, then, you know, let me know. That's what the comments are for. But that's gonna be all from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to click one of these 4 videos that are popping up on the screen right now and watch me talk about something else that maybe you find interesting or not or whatever. It's cool. The algorithm really likes it, so do that if you want. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?